Hello there, Jeff here, bringing you another crazy review. Tonight's special review is Friday the 13th, The Killer Cut, part of Jazzy's Mega Fest Movie-a-thon. Me and all my, I'm going to give titles to my random, movie reviewing events. Yeah, moving on, let's look at another DVD. I did Cannibal Holocaust. I did the His Name Was Jason documentary DVD, and now this is the Friday the 13th, the remake from 2009 DVD. This is going to be part one, which is solely focusing on the DVD itself, the special features, the look of the box and everything. And then I'm not really going into super detail with reviewing these films, but it's Friday the 13th, and it's kind of my baby. It's my thing. Like, there's Ghostbusters, and then there's Friday the 13th, and that's pretty much all that makes me up. That's like 50-50, and then everything else just kind of I make room for. But honestly, yeah, it still shocks me 4 or 5 years later now that this film was remade. I know there's a lot of horror movies that were remade already, but some kind of made sense, some you kind of expected, but the fact that movies like this and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street got remade, it blows my mind. Sequels were just made to these movies, a part of the original series not too long ago, and they're still making documentaries and everything about the original series, and I don't know, it's really bizarre. But let's try not to get too hooked up on emotions and feelings, and let's just slam on down here. So, up first, we have our main title screen. Nothing too special. Also, if you leave it up too long, it'll jump right into the movie, which is kind of nice. But in this instance, I'm just trying to focus on the main menu. So there's you got your movie. You have your scene selections here. Pretty much basic. Looks easy enough and simple enough. Nothing too special there. Languages is something that I was surprised to see that they had so many different subtitles. But so that's always good. But unfortunately, spoken language is only English. It really doesn't make any sense, though, because I feel like, not with just this movie, but a lot of DVDs in general, they're supposed to hold more than VHS. They're supposed to be of better quality. They're supposed to be lighter and easier to travel with and all this stuff. But, honestly, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's you're supposed to be taking a step forward with technology. So, you could have a lot more spoken languages on here. You could have a lot more subtitles. You could have a lot more options and things set, but it just seems to be as we move forward, we make things easier, but things also become cheaper and also crappier, and people just, I guess, don't want to put the extra work in to these films. And it's if you got a DVD that can hold a massive amount of material, or even Blu-rays for that matter, why not just stockpile it full of stuff? Because you never know, you might sell it a little more, and you might actually make people happy that don't speak English. So, just throwing that out there. And then basically getting to the big exciting part, the special features. So there is another stocky, crappy background of Jason. So first we have the rebirth of Jason Voorhees, which is obviously the remake documentary about this. So if you didn't get enough, if you didn't hear enough about the remake from His Name Is Jason, you now actually have a documentary that comes with the new remake DVD movie. There it is. And yeah, obviously, I'm being sarcastic. I was barely able to get through the shit that they put on His Name Was Jason that had to do with the remake, and the fact that they went and threw this on here, it's just I don't know, I didn't really care much for it when this came out on DVD. I didn't really watch most of it. I didn't even finish it this time around. It's just, I have no interest in it, and it just upsets me that they made this movie. So then to hear them talking about making this movie, had no interest. So that's pretty much that. And then there's also additional scenes, which you can see right there. The thing that blows my mind is the 3 additional scenes are fucking awesome. They're amazing. The one scene involves a different version of how Jason found his mask in this movie, and the way that you see it in the movie or on the theaters, excuse me, too many tacos, it's ridiculous. It's like really drawn out, and it's like really stupid, and this guy's like getting stoned, and as per usual, and like he's a redneck stereotype, and it just drags on, and then he gets killed, and then Jason decides to get a new mask because the redneck ripped his cloth or something, like while they were struggling. And then as he picks up his cloth mask, I guess, to examine it, he happens to see another mask underneath. And it was kind of cool how he uncovered it, and they did a good job with the sound effect in that particular scene. But in the additional scene, they show the guy wearing it and getting stoned and looking at a Hustler magazine, and that was like a lot more funnier. And in the original theatrical one still had the Hustler, but I mean, it just was stupid. It just didn't really fit him, but that made so much more sense. And the guy stands up, and he's like trying to talk to Jason and like calm him down, and Jason just grabs his head, takes the machete and slices his head off, and then he's just holding it, and he's still got the hockey mask on, and then like drops the head and like puts the mask on, and it's like awesome. I mean, it's like you already remade it, so you upset me. The movie sucks. Like, the beginning was pretty cool, and then it just got worse after that. At least give me a cool, like, mask scene. Because, like, literally, I remember reading in documentaries, they were like, we're going to present the way that Jason found the mask. Like, we're going to release it. Like, we're going to show you why he has the mask, how he got the mask. And they do it, and then they change it because, like, the directors were like, we didn't really like it. We felt like it didn't really fit in the movie, and we figured that, people were just going to be sitting around waiting for that kill to happen so that he would get the mask. No shit, we've been waiting for that fucking kill to happen because he's going to get the fucking mask. I just don't understand how movie makers just don't see what the fans want, or just don't see the better product and then the end result. And I think it's just a situation of just overthinking it. And that scene would have made the movie better. There's a scene, the second additional scene is basically a little sheriff station scene. It's a little bit unnecessary, but it pays ode to part 6. Where there's, or like even part 5, where there's kind of like tension and like, interactment between the police. And I think it's nice to kind of see their aspect, because they're never really showed enough in these movies, so it helps to make the movies a little more believable and at least build up those characters to explain why they're not at the scene, or why they happen to not be showing up, or like, or like, do they really believe that Jason's back, or do they not believe the kids that are calling? And it just, helped to establish the sheriff character a little better. So I just thought that scene definitely could have been kept in, but I'm sure it was cut for time. And they also had a little shot of it being Friday the 13th. Like on the calendar, it said like today is 13th, whatever the month. I thought that was pretty cool, like just to have something in the movie that says today's Friday the 13th, I thought was necessary, and they cut it out. So it's like 2 amazing things that you need. Like, you need to establish that it's Friday the 13th, and you need to establish a good Jason, like him unmasking the mask in a sense. And they failed on both of those. And then the third additional scene was basically an alternate ending. Pretty much all the same things happen in the same ending. Not to ruin this too much for those who may have not seen the movie. Spoiler alerts, I guess. But most Jason films typically end with him dying, especially in the later installments. Like, they try to kill him really good. Toxic waste in Part 8. Roofs are fucking collapsing on him in Part 7. Like, they really put him through the ringer. But with this one, they established the fact that he was human and that he was alive when his mother got killed. So he's not really a zombie per se in this one. He's definitely a human like he was in Part 2, or even Part 3 if you want to argue that he was still alive, or even Part 4 for that matter, but let's not get into that. But so they established that he's human, and obviously they can't just end the movie with him dying. They have to do some kind of jump scene or jump scare, because the original one ended like that, the Part 2 original one ended like that, even 3 kind of ended like that, so they were definitely paying ode to that, but it's just not a good way to pay ode. Like, just end your movie differently. Like, do something fun with the character. Don't just keep doing the same thing. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to have another video for the review because, I'm starting to, like, get into it now. But to just get to the point, you can't, if you're going to kill him, kill him. And if you're not going to kill him, then slightly injure him. Like in the end of Part 2, he had a machete put through his shoulder. That could kill somebody, but they could survive that potentially. Part 3, he's hung, but he wasn't hung properly because he was still kind of like moving. And he had an axe hit right here in his head, which could kill some people, but it's still almost livable. Like, you can go to the ER and have these things, but most likely you would bleed to death. But if you go back and watch those movies and you see the way he gets hit and you see the way that he gets hurt, they're injuries that aren't, like, concussive enough blows that it would be 100% he's dead. Whereas in the end of this one, the theatrical version, like, they kill him really good. Like, they fucking, like, they're strangling him with a chain, and then he gets, like a machete put right through his, like, heart almost, and, like, his head's going into the fucking woodcutter, and then they, like, tie him up and wrap him up and dump him in the lake. I mean, like, that's fucking deader than dead. And then they have the jump scene where, like, he jumps out of the lake. It was just not believable. I mean, at least with the earlier installments, it was kind of believable when he came back in the earlier ones, because it was like, he wasn't really killed. It wasn't until the later ones that, like, he was legitimately fucking killed, and then they had to bring him back like Frankenstein. But, like, that made sense, because then after Part 6 and 7 and 8, he was more of this supernatural entity. So then it made sense that he was more of an unstoppable force. But they said in interviews, they said in documentaries, I mean, like, the directors were so adamant about establishing the fact that Jason is human in this one, and yet you literally killed him worse than any of the other kills in the movie, and even some of the ways that the people were killed in the movie, they could have fucking survived that. And they didn't bring any of those characters back, so it just didn't make any sense to me. And the additional scene is the ending kind of altered a bit, and instead of Jason getting machete put through him, instead of his head getting sucked into the wood chopper, instead of him getting dumped into the water, like, instead of all this other shit happening, the chain gets stuck in the machine, it brings him up, and it, like, looks like it slightly snaps his head, but not quite. It more like, I guess, it chokes kind of the life out of him almost, and then he just passes out. That would be a lot more believable that he would come back from that, because he was just kind of slightly hung to the point where, like, he passed out. Then if they wanted to have a scene where he jumps out of the lake or he does live, that would have been believable, because it wasn't like a complete all-out blow kill. So that's what I was trying to explain with that one thing. So I'm sorry if I went on a little too long. But let's get the camera off of me one last time and swing this over here. So there we go. That is the DVD cover, and I'll do a quick comment on that. It sucks. There's a stocky picture of Jason just standing there. The font looks awful. The producers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's always good to advertise that you remade another classic horror movie to piss off the fans, and there is the pretty much awful looking back. So overall, the DVD was pretty damn boring, but I give it points for having additional scenes and for having a documentary at least, even though I wasn't interested in it. It was good. I liked it. So sorry that this review turned out so long, but hopefully you guys enjoyed what I had to say, and just stay safe and watch out for Jason.